Do you think Charlemagne has fallen off? Boom.
Obviously.
Viral question.
Obviously. I think it might be an engineered fall off though. Like sometimes you don't want to be the guy. This guy's behind the scenes. He's connected to Kevin Hart. It's like if you ever come across a relationship with somebody that could take you to another level, not saying that you're doing this, but like you might move differently. And Charlemagne has been to the top of the mountain. He's been kind of somebody that was so top of the mountain that Joe Budden had to acquiesce to him and kind of play the second in command at many times. So he's falling off, but he's still the man. Like he's not as entertaining though. And I think that's one thing. Like I think sometimes I listen to him and he sounds like I always call him like Shaq on the Celtics sometimes, where he was dominant at one point, but now he's not very much the guy I used to listen to and cut class for.
I was just watching a Traplo Ross video about the murder of Big Jook, who is Yo Gotti's brother, who was recently murdered in Memphis after a funeral. And in the video, they're sort of breaking down how, like, look, Young Dolph and then Black Youngsta and then Yo Gotti, they're all just like going on the Breakfast Club back to back to back, and like really like their beef and like that whole storyline was like playing out on the Breakfast Club. When's the last time you felt like that? Now, granted, a lot of this like street beef, there's obvious reasons that they don't want to touch it, and also you can kind of assume that the Breakfast Club didn't realize like how murderous that beef was / was going to become, you know? And not to say that that's the only thing that would make their channel have worth, but it does, feel like they're not necessarily really at the cusp of the hip hop conversation. But then Charlemagne signing talent, it doesn't feel like the Big Loon experiment went.
Are you cool with Big Loon?
I'm cool with him, but it doesn't feel like I don't know. Did Charlemagne like sign him to beef with academics?
Well, I think Loon had a pre-existing catalog that was very valuable to Charlemagne at the time. I also think Loon was somebody that he probably confided in. This is me being observed, but I mean, I am right about the catalog that Loon had. He interviewed Rory and Mo about the breakup. He interviewed the I Am Athlete guys about the breakup. So I think if you're someone who's maybe looking to hire somebody, if I come to you and say, hey, I interviewed Rory and Mo, I interviewed Brandon Marshall about the breakup, that might look valuable. As to why his network isn't succeeding, maybe you don't have an eye for talent. Like I think you have an incredible eye for talent. Some of the people that I wouldn't say you made them into stars, but you put them in positions to become successful. Maybe Charlemagne don't got that. And he's not somebody who's of the podcasting industry, right? He's a radio guy who now is saying he likes podcasting, but he's not a podcaster to me. He's a radio host.
I mean, the thing with me is that No Jumper is mine, and it's all my money, and every single thing that I pay for or do goes right back to me. So I think about it a certain way. So if I was paying AD or T-Rail or whoever X amount of dollars, I was cognizant of that. It's not like I'm just playing around with somebody else's money. When you look at the Charlemagne thing, I mean, it's not like it's all his money, right? So like for him to sign Big Loon and give him a shot, it's not like he's investing his own capital. It's like when you're working with somebody else's capital, you're a lot more willing to take a long shot, you know? And like maybe if you think that this person has a 5 or a 10% chance of blowing up, then when you're playing with somebody else's money, then that seems like a shot worth taking. I mean, Big Loon, who, by the way, those Menace Material guys, they call him fucking Big Sloth.
Yeah, those guys are. Shout out to AJ, J Nobles, and Tone Groove. They do anything.
Brutal. Sloth.
They don't play fair, man.
Dear God.
I don't want to beef with them.
But when he first interviewed me, he was going off on academics the whole time. And this is before he signed to Charlemagne and before he did that Brilliant Idiots episode where he fully went in on academics. And I mean, I kind of feel like that probably like cursed him a bit, because I don't think you can just come in the game and just go for the top dog or one of the top dogs and expect for it to work out for you. I don't think you could be a rapper and just, you know, come up off of saying, fuck, I don't know, who should we go with?
Drake.
Fuck Drake, fuck Kendrick. It's like hard to imagine a successful rapper who comes out and their first act is saying, this is why Drake's trash.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Axe, especially Axe, because he's kind of like the pioneer of all of this. So I couldn't imagine dissing him. But Loon is, I think he's kind of like his niche is his niche. But when you try to put him on an elevated sphere, then it starts to look a little crazy. And Charlemagne's moving shaky as far as the radio industry and the podcast industry. I don't think some of the hires have panned out. He's making a bet, but I don't think he has the eye for talent like you or Joe. Like the idea that Joe knew this whole time Ish would be a great podcaster, which I truly believe he's really good at podcasting, even if he doesn't believe it.
I think if you go back in time, though, Charlemagne's had a lot of W's in terms of identifying talent. Whereas, though, right now, you might judge him a little differently, like perhaps. Schultz, Tax.
You think Tax was his?
I think there's, because he had him on the MTV show like a million fucking years ago. There's a bunch of people that Charlemagne has helped put on the game that I think that we're not likely to give him credit for because it was so long ago. But
Diesel Zamero.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like right now, because like the Wild Wild West, if you were looking for talent in 2015, it's so much easier to like figure out people who were funny on Twitter or funny on YouTube or funny on Vine or whatever, and like try to turn them into podcasters. Whereas now, the vast majority of people who are going to take off as podcasters, we've already seen them be utilized, right?
Yeah, I want to go back to what you just said about the iHeart Black Effect thing. How authentic of a network do you think that is? Because Joe seems to act like it's like not a real network, and that Charlemagne is running a shell company.
Who else is doing any kind of numbers on there?
Nobody.
Right. That's
and Joe's point is like Brilliant Idiots is on the Black Effect, right? So like what is going on? And like it's not like Colin Cowherd, I think, runs the Volume, which is through iHeart. And it's like, what is going on here? Is this just because after the civil unrest, right, a lot of companies were trying to pivot towards paying lip service to some type of diversity initiatives, and there was people hinting that is that what the Black Effect has become? But I don't know.
Damn, you just said it's an affirmative action network.
I mean,
affirmative action network is crazy.
Yeah, I'm about to get canceled, but nah, I think what it is that many people are doubting it. I don't know if it's an ad company. I don't know if they get the ads and they sign you, because there's podcasters like what's the comedian podcast that they're on, Wild and Out?
Oh, the 85 South
85
show?
South was on there. Earn Your Leisure was on there. And they're like these pre-existing IPs. They go there. So it's like, how does that work? If like, don't you have to start a IP from the bottom up if like you own something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly have spent very little time
looking at
it. I do feel like it's the same thing as like the Complex thing or whatever. It's like if you think that you're going to create this great business by finding a bunch of podcasts or curating a bunch of podcasts, what are you bringing to the table? If you have an intense ad sales division like Barstool, then for sure I could see it being valuable for you to sign with a network. But a lot of these things, I mean, like Dave Mays has been doing that Breakbeat Media, and he signed Don't Call Me White Girl, Mona, and he signed I guess he has Suge Knight, which is kind of weird because it's podcast. Like done over the phone.
Great podcast.
But he also signed Funny Marco, who I believe has dipped out.
Left him.
He left him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it's like, what are you bringing to the table? It's not exactly easy to find sponsors that are dying to just put their logo all over random podcasts that haven't really like proven themselves yet. I don't know. It's like so many people seem optimistic about this as a business, and having done it for a while, I guess I would say I'm as optimistic. For me, it's more like literally building a friend group, a core group of dudes who actually are podcasting together. That is valuable to me and to the audience, is to actually see that cohesion. But the idea of me just like signing like podcasts that don't have any like overlap socially with the people who are already here, I think that's totally outlandish.